For a long time, I've been interested in celebrity osteoporosis, and there aren't too many that seem to have severe cases, but two that I've noticed: Katharine Hepburn, who I was very into when I was younger, lost a lot of height as she got older. I think in her prime she was about 5'6", and by the last time she was seen on camera, which was maybe in the mid '90s, when she was close to 90, she was maybe 5'1" tops. Um, and so she was about 88 and had lost a good 5 inches or so. Another recent example is Vanessa Redgrave, who I also like, and she in her prime was well known for being quite tall, nearly 6 feet, I think 5'11" and a half or so. And if you look at her, her height, she was always the tallest woman in the room, often taller or as tall or taller than her male co-stars. Recently, she's been dropping in height, and if you see profile shots of her, she's quite hunched. My guesstimate, and I do spend a lot of time thinking about this and looking at pictures, and it occupies probably about a third of my mental day, I would say. She seems to have dropped to, my estimate is right now she's wavering between 5'7" and a half and 5'7" and 3/4. Of course, I cannot be entirely certain. I would have to probably see her to be certain of this, but what's my estimate? And that's quite a drop. I mean, that's over 3.5 inches, and she's 73. And it does seem kind of severe. So I'm noticing that. With men, it's less pronounced. Men generally don't get osteoporosis quite as severely as women. But Clint Eastwood is an example who he's turning 80 this year, may have already turned 80, and he, in his prime, was supposed to be 6'4", and now he appears to be barely 6'1", and he's quite hunched. Other examples, the Economists, this very tall Economists. John Kenneth Galbraith was apparently 6'8" in his prime. I don't know if he lost a lot of height. I know I actually had an encounter with Paul Volcker, who is a conservative. I think he was the former head of the Federal Reserve under Reagan and Bush Sr. And he's apparently 6'8", I had read. Now he's about 82 or something like that, 83. I saw him in New York on Fifth Avenue about 3 years ago. I was walking up Fifth Avenue, and I was going to MoMA to see it for the first time after its big renovation in 2007 or 2008 maybe. I think it was 2007. And I suddenly saw up ahead this very tall old man, and he appeared to be about 6'7" or 8 at least. I'm very good at sizing people up quickly. And he was with a woman, and I realized immediately, oh my God, that's Paul Volcker. And I was a little turned on, and I sort of walked up, and I thought, I have to speak to Paul Volcker. I have to somehow find a way to say something to him so that I can be absolutely certain of his height, and maybe have this for masturbation fodder for later, perhaps. And so I approached Paul Volcker and his wife. Paul Volcker's wife looked to be maybe in her mid to late 60s, and I said, "Excuse me, will you happen to know where MoMA is?" And I knew it was like 2 blocks away, and he kind of looked at me like, "Oh." MoMA, I don't know. And she said, "Oh, you have," and she kind of intervened and gave me the directions, and he was just kind of saying, "Oh, yeah, okay, that's right." And she was like, "You have to walk up there, and then you turn left on 49th, and then you walk down there, Rockefeller Center, and blah, blah, blah." And, I thought, I was looking up, and I was like, "Oh, thank you, Mr. Volcker." Or I didn't say Mr. Volcker, I didn't let on that I knew him. I thought that probably would have, Secret Service agents would have come running out of the side streets or something. Yeah, and it was, and I started, I walked to MoMA and I saw the thing, and I was thinking about, wouldn't it be funny to run into Paul Volcker at a bathhouse and have this encounter with like a 6'8", 82-year-old man? Like, he didn't appear to have lost much in height. Like, my estimate was that he was at least 6'7" or 6'8". So maybe in his prime he was 6'10". But I'm not usually a gerontophile, but I guess when I see like extreme height on anyone, any male, female to a lesser degree, there's just something kind of a bit of a turn on. I remember watching an episode of Laverne and Shirley, the sitcom, when I was like 12 or so. There's an episode where they join the army, and they have this female drill sergeant, and she was played by an actress who was probably a foot taller than Penny Marshall, probably about 6'4", and they were in a gym, and they were being forced to do exercises and sit-ups and whatever. The drill sergeant was really, she had a whistle, and she was really taking them through the trenches, and I was kind of turned on by this, and I remember also visiting when I was young, going to school trips in Nova Scotia. There were these 2 famous giants, Anna Hainan Swan was the woman's name, and the guy's name, I can't remember his name, Angus something. Anyway, they were a couple, and they lived in the 19th century, and they were like, she was like 7'3", and he was like 7'2". I think he was shorter than her. And I remember kind of seeing images of them at the museum we went to and thinking and being a bit turned on by that. But I'm generally not. I think that was a phase I went through when I was about 12 or so, being like sexually turned on by giants of either gender. But it kind of faded away, but I guess there were sort of vestiges of it still remaining, hence the whole Volcker incident. But you don't have many opportunities for encounters with giants these days. But if I would never pass up, Gore Vidal said never pass up a chance to have sex or be on TV. I would maybe rephrase that to never pass up a chance to be on TV or have sex with a giant.